So here we are with the world #1, Roger Federer, taking on young 18-year-old Rafael Nadal of Spain in our title match at this year's NASDAQ 100 Open. And what they're doing while they sit there in the chair is to gather their thoughts.
First set, Roger Federer to serve.
And remember, Federer was put in to serve by Nadal, who won the toss. Here we go, best of 5 sets. A statement of intent there from Nadal. I'm not going to break down before you. I'm going to make you break down.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about the fact that Federer will want to keep the rallies as short as possible. Of course, when he's serving, if he can get a high percentage of first serves in, that will allow him to do just that.
Because, as he well knows, the forehand of Federer is a formidable weapon. He can do anything with it. It goes either way. He can spin it horribly if he wants to.
Terrific shot from Nadal, and he's come out in this opening game, hit the ball extremely well under pressure. This is a shot that's going to have to work well for him today if he's going to get the right result, because I think Federer is going to try and pepper that backhand.
Accelerated that cross-court backhand.
30-40.
Forced the error.
And that's something that Federer mentioned. It was very, very difficult to cope with against Nadal. The fact that he's able to generate so much spin on that backhand, and particularly the forehand.
Nadal has struck an early blow here, forcing an error on the penultimate point of that game and receiving a free gift of an unforced error on the last point.
And it was missed by a country mile, so there was definitely some nerves there. And unquestionably, even if you've won your last 17 finals, when the occasion's as big as this one, then you're certainly going to start to feel a little bit of tension. But I think he'll easily play that out of his system over the next few games, but it's important for him to get off to a good start. Otherwise, Nadal will only grow in confidence, and life will be an awful lot more difficult for the world #1.
He hasn't done marvellously well here in the past, considering how well he's done elsewhere. He lost in the first round in '99, the second the next year, quarter-final a year later, Rafa beat him. Final in 2002, it was Agassi then, and then a quarter-final against Costa, and last year's Nadal loss. So it's not a sort of blue ribbon tournament for him yet.
15 love.
Well, that's the area of the game I think Federer will be looking to try and take advantage of. Nadal doesn't quite serve as well as perhaps he might one day, particularly the second serve. Sometimes he struggles to get enough penetration on it, so I think Federer will definitely be looking to step up the court, try and take it on and dictate from the rally thereafter.
30 love.
Well, one thing is good for both players, that there's no real wind to worry about. Yesterday was furiously windy. The women's singles final was played then. Masters beating Sharapova in the wind, and the men's doubles too. Bjorkman and Meunier beating Black and Ulliott quite easily, 6-1, 6-2. So that was the only men's final played yesterday. Well, I was wrong about Federer's quick start.
Couldn't have been worse, could it really? He hasn't found his timing yet, hasn't found his range from the back of the court, and didn't serve particularly well in that opening game. Of course, that's one of the advantages of playing a best-of-5 set final as opposed to a best-of-3 set final. You do have a little bit longer to play yourself into form. Nadal there just not quite putting enough spin on that backhand to get it to dip just inside the baseline.
It's a bit too short at the far end for Federer.
Nadal leads 2 games to love.
Making errors to that far baseline. And it's made life very easy for the Spaniard so far. Love to.
Change of pace from Federer. I think that's what he's got to try and do to disrupt Nadal's rhythm. The Spaniard does like to play comfortably from the baseline, just behind it in fact, whereas Federer has the ability to flatten out his ground strokes a little bit more.
A bit.
Giving Federer a taste of his own medicine.
15 all.
I think that's a sign of just how confident Nadal has started this match, because usually he'd be looking to hit a rallying shot there.
He was saying earlier in the week about how he hadn't been satisfied with his quality of serving this week. He wasn't getting enough cheap points. So that will please him, that first ace.
Of course, we haven't talked about the adjustment that needs to be made by a right-hander when you come up against a left-hander. Federer there hitting a lot of balls cross-court on his backhand, but of course that's going to Nadal's forehand, his great strength. So I think it will take Federer a few games just to get used to that.
You hear the droning noise of one of those light aircraft that tows advertisers' hoardings, or
40-30.
trailing out behind. off-putting too, this constant drone.
Game, Federer.
But at least the world #1 has now held his serve. He'll be feeling a little more comfortable with life. Nadal 2-1. Well, it's not the start I expected to see from Federer today. I expected to see him race out of the blocks, you know, playing his best, but he's obviously a little bit tense.
Yeah, and I think he's just not quite sure of his game plan, or if he is sure of it, he just hasn't been able to execute it. Because when you come up against a lefty, it's very interesting. Your mindset, you've either got to say, right, well, I'm going to continue to play my game exactly the same. I'm going to hit the same shots that I normally do against the righty, and I believe that that's going to be good enough. Or you've got to just fine-tune it a little bit. You've got to hit, you know, to Nadal's backhand a little bit more, so therefore you've got to serve slightly differently than you would normally. But from the back of the court in particular, it means Federer's got to hit his backhand down the line to Nadal's backhand. That's a riskier shot, whereas normally he'd be going cross-court with the vast majority of those. And his forehand as well. Instead of going inside out to Nadal's forehand, he'll have to go cross-court a little bit more to the Spaniard's backhand. So I think it will take him a little bit of time just to settle down.
Well, the world #1 looking calm enough as he sits there, trailing by a break.
Time.
And he's got to get down to business here. He doesn't want to let young Nadal get too confident. Job of work to do right here. There's the characteristic little adjustment of his socks.
Love.
Still
30 love.
Flowing from Federer's racket, rather worrying.
That's 8 in total now. We're only midway through the 4th game. Certainly got to try and rectify that situation, because Nadal, the most consistent performance from the back of the court, he's not going to give away too many free points.
Second serve.
Making life very easy for Nadal here. Shanked it totally. Mind you, it was a good high kick on the serve, head high.
Net versus. Game, Nadal.
A very easy ride on that service game.
Nadal leads 3-1.
3-1 and no signs yet, but Federer is capable of mounting a challenge. I'm sure that will change. I very much hope it will, for everyone's sake. Just out. He looks hopefully towards Steve Ulrich, but it was just wide of the mark.
Oh!
Well, that is rather a sad picture, isn't it? 10 errors.
I think that's a tactic perhaps Federer might need to use if he continues to hit the ball so poorly from the back of the court, but of course that's why he's such a great player. He does have so many tactical options at his disposal.
Well, that's just too good. Amazing.
I think Federer would have been delighted with the quality of his approach shot. It was hit
30 all.
a lot of slice, so the ball stayed very low, so that makes life very difficult for Nadal, but he was able to get underneath the ball and just with a subtle flick of the wrist get it across Federer's body. The top hand here, the right hand on that occasion, very, very strong in that particular shot.
Playing better than Federer at the moment, there's no question. If you didn't know who was who and you were told the world #1 was playing on court today, you'd think that it was Nadal.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Those two volleys there, both coming off the edge of the racket. And it's so unusual to see Federer struggle with his timing, because of course that's one of his great strengths.
So here is a break point.
Deuce.
Well, we usually expect to see him get a good first serve in when he's in trouble, and so it was on that last point.
To get it to dip inside the court. Terrific stuff.
There, probably the best point that Federer has played so far.
The few times that he timed all the shots in the rally sweetly, and he was in total control from start to finish.
Rather shocked to have to save 2 more break points, though.
There's the fine-tuning that we were talking about. Usually Federer would be going inside out with that particular forehand, but on this occasion hitting it down the line to the Nadal backhand, as he knows that the Spaniard is slightly weaker off that particular wing.
Well, that's more like it. Normal service has been resumed. Temporarily, at least. And he's still in the set, but a breakdown. It's 3-2 for Nadal.
And tennis fans throughout the tournament, a number of the game's top players autographed Mercedes-Benz finisher pedal car. They once
It's been a good start by Nadal, and I think that he'll be really pleased with the way he's been able to control his nerves. No doubt about the fact that he would have been anxious coming out to such a big stage, taking on the very best player in the world. But of course, the fact that he'd beaten him this particular event last year will have given him more confidence than most players would have coming into this match. And I think he'll be delighted with the way he's been able to time the ball. But we know that he's got the ability to not be put off his stride, despite the enormity of the occasion. And we've seen him beat some great players in the past, and I don't think that he will be afraid to take Federer on today, and that's one of his great strengths.
Nadal all ready to serve. Federer still in his chair, just saying to the young man, look, I'm not going to let you rush me.
Time.
I'm going to take the full time, and it is now called by Steve Ulrich. So Federer will get up from his chair and take his place in the baseline. So a little mind game going on there.
Seats, please. Thank you.
Well, he's down the difficult end now, looking into the sun. See if that affects him. Certainly struggling to find his rhythm. Is Federer at the moment off the ground. I think this is probably a worse start than even others this tournament. Said that he hasn't played well. Tony Nadal will be pretty pleased with the way things are going, but we said Federer has been a slow starter, but I think this is the slowest start of the lot.
Yeah, I think it has shaken him a little bit, because usually he times the ball a lot sweeter than he has done today. A lot better, and I think Federer's got to really start playing small court tennis, because the forehand is not working particularly well from the back of the court. So if he can fashion a few winners from the net, I think he's going to make life an awful lot easier for him.
Normally such a powerful weapon, and yet today it is, well, very average.
Only the one winner so far from that forehand, and 9 unforced errors.
Hmm.
40-50.
Make that 10.
Incredibly, Nadal winning 80% of points when he's down to his second serve at the moment. And that will certainly have been a surprise to him, because he knows Federer has the ability to hurt him with that particular shot.
Partly because of that sun, I would think. Got to decide which side of the sun to toss the ball as it moves, and then of course change sides at some stage. First double fault. Well, that's really the first time he has failed to embarrass Federer when he's got a chance to. From the world number one.
Advantage to Nadal.
The half chance squandered.
He didn't quite get his feet to the pitch of the ball. And of course, one of the problems in playing against Nadal is the fact that he's able to generate so much spin, and it does kick up off the court surface. So sometimes you have to move your feet even more than normal, just ready to make those last second adjustments.
Dipping pass, too good for Federer, who is really in despair at the moment.
Nadal leads 4 games to 2.
With a shrug of his shoulders there in dismay that another half chance had gone, because he was given the opportunity as this fellow allowed Federer back to deuce with an error. Didn't take that approach down the line, made it long, and then missed the volley. So he's still in trouble, 2-4.
It's amazing to see Federer make such simple mistakes. Nadal did well to get the ball back in play, opening the racket face, getting a little bit of slice on the ball, but this approach here was relatively simple. It ended up halfway up the net.
I don't think he thought that his previous shot could possibly come back. And if he didn't know it before they started, he certainly knows now. He's in a real dogfight today. Young Nadal has improved markedly since last year. And that's his first double fault. I think he's a little bit uncertain about how to play Nadal at the moment. He'll have to decide quite soon. All the things that are going wrong are marks of indecision.
A fantastic shot from Nadal, and again Federer will have been expecting a shot of much less potency. A little bit slow getting into position at the net there, the world number one, but Nadal able to open his shoulders despite the fact that he was under pressure. Excellent footwork there.
So yet again facing break points. Surprised. There's a mental confusion at the moment in Federer. He doesn't quite know what to do against a man who is playing quite superbly. And it's 5-2 for Nadal. Well, not only is he playing superbly, but Federer is playing poorly. And really, it is a fascinating state of affairs, and I'm sure Federer absolutely relieved that this is the best of 5.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, and that is the advantage, of course, coming into a major final that is the best of 5 sets as opposed to the best of 3, because if he is to lose this opening set, it's not such a big deal. But what will be worrying him, as you mentioned, is the fact that he doesn't really seem to have a game plan out there, and he certainly isn't able to execute it at the moment. So it's a real struggle, and I think Nadal, although he's playing well, he's doing the basics well, that's all anyone can hope to do, and then take it from there. He isn't really being tested by Federer, and I think that will come as a bit of a surprise to him, but he'll be absolutely delighted if that's how the match continues.
Jason, we've said he hasn't played Federer a left-hander yet this week. And
Time.
it is different, but somehow he's making very heavy will of it. He's not purposeful today at all.
No, you would have expected him to know how to play against left-handers. Of course, he's done it in the past, and he knows how Nadal plays, so you would have thought that he would have come out here, tried to execute a particular game plan, and then taken it from there, but it doesn't seem to be the case. He's not really got a plan out there. He's not really trying to attack a particular side or come in or play specifically from the back of the court, and I think that's played right into Nadal's hands.
5-2, serving with the new balls for the set. And a great start.
15 love.
So poised and calm and collected. Gesture of despair there as Federer slaps his right thigh. What is going on, he's thinking. Another error. Again, look at the unforced error list. Just about to hit 20. Well, can you believe it? 3 set points in no time flat. Just half an hour has elapsed, 32 minutes to be precise. And here are 3 set points. Well, he's run the #1 in the world absolutely ragged in that first set. No question who has been the better player. This man has. He's won the set after 32 minutes, 6-2.
Well, we've talked about how poorly Federer's played, but we've also got to take our hat off to Nadal, because he's done the simple things exceptionally well, and that's all you can ask of any player at the beginning of any match, irrespective of who the opposition are. And Nadal has kept his unforced error count down nice and low. That's what we expected. He wasn't able to generate that many winners, but he certainly didn't need to. But he served very well. He's won 75% of points when the first serve's gone in, and incredibly 80% of points when he's been down to his second serve. Whereas look at that on the other side of the screen. Federer winning just 25% of points when he's down to his second serve. That's virtually unheard of, and the first serve isn't particularly effective either. He certainly needs to work on getting the first serve percentage up a little higher. And look at the unforced error count from the world #1, 20 in total, and he only had the ability to generate 6 winners. So he basically needs to improve all areas of his game to get back into the match.
And here are some of the beautiful Nadal winners that we've enjoyed from the first set.
Time.
half an hour of near perfection on his part. He didn't do anything silly. Missed about 2 or 3 shots only that he might have made.
Second set.
And was never really in trouble. How wonderful for him. Hasn't faced a break point yet. Here's the start of the second set.
I think both players will be well aware of the fact that the beginning of this set is of vital importance to both. Federer, of course, looking to get back into it, but Nadal looking to continue to make the most of the momentum he's been able to create in the first half an hour.
I cannot believe this. He is shaken. There's no question about it. Federer is shaken. Perhaps the memory of that loss last year was deeper than we realized. Favorite shots, all letting him down.
15-30.
Well, I think he's well aware of the fact that the approach shot has to be pretty good today, because Nadal has started the match in excellent form when he's been under pressure, but Federer simply has to make Nadal play a lot more. The Spaniard really having to do very little to suddenly get another half chance on a Federer service game. All a little too obvious there. It's a good tactic as far as Federer is concerned. Try and take Nadal out of his comfort zone just behind the baseline, but the Spaniard there rather telegraphed the fact that he was going to try and go cross court. Federer was in a good position.
Despairing look from Federer there. And I think it's what we were saying about the spin on the Nadal balls. It used to be the same with Bjorn Borg. He would hit to a length balls that would dip and kick. Horrible to control. His turn to be annoyed with himself for not making Federer play a relatively easy second serve on break point. Much better anticipation from Nadal. He knew that Federer was going to come into the net off the slice backhand and thought that he might drop it short up the court, which is always a good tactic to use, and Nadal was already moving diagonally in order to cut the ball off, not laterally behind the baseline, so that was good play from the Spaniard. And that was courageous tennis from Federer, because the drive volley is a difficult shot to execute, particularly if you're not feeling confident and you're not hitting the ball as well as you would like. So it would have been slightly easier to let that drop and start a rally from the back of the court, but of course that's something that he doesn't want to do too often against Nadal.
Nadal.
Well, this is a wonderful chance for Nadal to knock another nail in the Federer coffin here. Third chance in this game. A break of serve to open the second set, and that is a very serious situation. And it seems to me that young Nadal has been a totally different player since that first day of the Davis Cup final you spoke of last year, when they beat the United States Spain 3-2 in Sevilla, and he beat Roddick on the opening day in front of a mammoth crowd, the emotion pouring over. I think he's been a different player since. And
he was able to rise to the occasion. That's the key. A lot of people would have simply crumbled under that kind of pressure, playing at home in front of that many avid fans. But he was able to play his very best tennis when both he and his country needed it most. And Federer is suffering the other end of that today, because Nadal's played superbly so far. Very simple, but very effective. Very few unforced errors. And Federer is certainly struggling.
Well, that's more like it. That was what I would call a normal Federer rally. There's Bill Norris, who is the ATP trainer, and we're hearing that Federer is suffering from blisters on his feet. And if he is, that would explain partially why he hasn't been covering the court perhaps quite as smoothly as usual, and making errors if there's any pain there. Now 2 points running, vintage Federer.
And certainly making the most of the opportunity there to try and fashion a quick end to the point, and it was an excellent change of pace, just flattening out the shot, generating 96 miles an hour on that forehand. That's the Federer we know and love.
It does create those horrible angles, doesn't it, with all that fizzing topspin.
Yeah, he's able to really make the opponent move as much as possible. Federer at the moment has run approximately 25% greater distance than Nadal in the match so far. And of course, if you are suffering from blisters, that's the last thing that you need.
It certainly is. Ouch. Mirka is as relaxed as she looked just then. I can't think she will be.
It's never easy watching your loved ones play competitive sport, but she has it easier than most because, of course, he comes out on top the vast majority of the time.
Very true. Time for biting fingernails, apparently. An imperious backhand pass at last.
And Nadal plays pretty well in the forecourt, but he's not sensational by any stretch of the imagination. That approach there was a little tame, didn't make Federer move too much, and Swiss was able to then go back cross-court, which is relatively high percentage, and still hit a winning shot. Nadal totally out of position.
And a break point at last. It's the very first one he's had. And it's landed on the line with a miss hit. Can you believe that? Mirka can.
Seeing it time and time again, but Federer at least there got the game plan right. I think it was important to try and be aggressive on the second serve, even though it took him right out of court, as of course the left-handed serves tend to do. But that's disappointing from Nadal's point of view. When you've got a set and a break, you want to try and make the most of it. And now, obviously, Federer right back in the set.
It was almost as if a switch had been thrown and the light had come on. For the early part of this match, he was playing in the dark. Suddenly, he illuminates the scene with his brilliance. Chalk and cheese.
And that's all it takes sometimes when you're such a good player. Just suddenly to play a few good points in a row, then suddenly the confidence comes surging back through the veins, and you're able to play an awful lot better thereafter. And of course, it has the adverse effect on the opponent. And suddenly Nadal will feel that now I'm up against the proper Federer, and my job is going to be an awful lot more difficult.
Service game. He won it to love after breaking back, and he is ahead at last. 2-1. Well, as the ball kids change, he takes off his shoes, and I think
One second, I need to take off the tape. Yeah.
He needs to take off the tape. He's got blisters there. He's going to remove the tape. Now, whether or not Bill Norris will be called, he's all ready, I don't know.
Well, it's never easy when you're playing with blisters, because particularly on a hard court there's so much jarring, and when you're playing against somebody like Nadal who can change direction on the ball so easily and so effectively, and he hits with so much spin, he's able to generate all these angles. It can be very, very difficult if you're not sure of your footing.
I think the tape must have been too tight. It often happens when he wants relief from that, so he's taken the tape off. Well, Federer has just removed his shoe and socks from the right foot and removed the tape that was wrapped around the foot. For, we are told, blisters. There's the tape being thrown away, and that will give him certain relief, because if it's too tight, there's a nasty feeling trying to cover the court.
Yeah, and of course Bill Norris there in the picture just telling Federer that he's there if he needs him for any extra taping or treatment. But mobility is so key to Federer's game. It's something that's very underrated. We talk about all his great strengths, his serve, his forehand, his anticipation is so good, but his movement is excellent. And if you don't feel particularly good, the shoes or something wrong with your feet, blisters, etc., then it does have an effect on you mentally. It's very difficult to concentrate.
For the first time in the match, Federer is ahead in a set. 1-2. Now, did he get his feet right that time? He hit off the right foot, that shot.
He certainly seemed to be caught in two minds there. I'm not sure whether to go back cross court or to try and change direction of the ball. Certainly wasn't a very aggressive shot in order to put Nadal under any pressure.
Nadal certainly able to apply pressure today. in spades.
Versus.
Well, there's the genius of the man.
And that's what he's got to try and do a little bit more of, I think. And he will obviously be well aware of that fact. Try and open up the court. And then if Nadal drops the ball ever so slightly short, Federer, of course, has the ability to be able to change direction. And I think that's how he's going to win the vast majority of points if he's at the back of the court. First forehand volley from Nadal there was awful. Should have stuck it into the open court, tried to take pace off it, but hit it too firmly. And Federer had an excellent opportunity there, but didn't do enough with the forehand. Usual for the Swiss to hit the ball that softly off that particular side when the ball's dropped short.
Probably heard just a little bleep there. Well, he's competing now in the rallies, which he wasn't. The errors just sprayed from his racket after 2 or 3 shots in the first set. Ah, yes. The master at work again.
And the timing returning to Federer's game now, and it's so much easier for him to dictate the points. This time it's Nadal who's scurrying around the baseline, having to change direction, and only able to offer up a very defensive reply off the backhand, which Federer dealt with very easily indeed.
40-15 has become deuce. And the heavy Swiss artillery now beginning to bear down.
Well, that was a lovely tactic from Federer. Once he hit that little slice backhand and he saw the ball was short, he knew that Nadal could only play defensively, and as soon as he saw the Spaniard open the racket face, he just floated into the net and finished the point with considerable aplomb.
And he's got another break. From 40-15, that is a great psychological blow struck by Federer.
Federer leads 3 games to 1.
3 games to 1, and beginning to play something like the world #1.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, how quickly things can change. 10 minutes ago, world #1 finding himself a set and a breakdown, struggling, no timing, all parts of his game looking particularly poor. And then 3 games later, he's in a commanding position.
It's all working now.
And then when he plays games like these, then you wonder how Nadal's going to win points. When in the first set, it was Federer who was struggling to string points together. Absolutely superb feel on the ball, coming right underneath it, brushing the ball, very thin contact in order to get the necessary spin, but not the pace, so that he could drop it short.
The second ace he served, 1-2-3 MPH. He thought that was the third.
Suddenly the forehand's working supremely well, able to dictate the point from the back of the court, and he's playing so much more effectively. Look at that, only 6 winners in the opening set from Federer, already more than twice as many in that second set, and Nadal is pretty impotent.
Game Federer.
A love service game, a couple of aces in that last game.
4 games to 1.
And Federer looking like the real thing now, 4-1.
And sometimes when you start a match and you do have a niggly injury of some sort, particularly something like blisters, where there's not much you can do about it, it just can be really frustrating and it can play on your mind, and I think that must have had an effect on Federer in that opening set. And I think once he decided that he was going to take the tape off, then it just seems that he's been able to unshackle all the frustrations of that opening set and just play his normal game. And of course, once he started to do that, he's won 4 games in a row.
It's just adjusting the footwear again. You've got to be comfortable underfoot. So many miles do you run in the course of a match, a long one. Almost the most important thing of all, that and the hand. If they're blistered, it's difficult. Well, the aerial view of Crandon Park on Key Biscayne, just off the mainland.
Time.
In Miami-Dade County. And a marvelous sight it is, a public facility for the rest of the year, out of tournament time. And they do play other events here, including the Orange Bowl, the unofficial World Junior Championships. And it's also the headquarters of one of the USTA's training centers. So a very busy and beautiful facility. And full today, 14,000 fans here, crammed in, every seat with a good view. No pillars. And 1-4. Having won 8 points in a row from Nadal's serve when Nadal was 40-15 up, and then holding to love, he's lost the last 2 points. Was made to look very easy, but it's a tough shot.
It was a good return of serve as well, nice and deep. Nadal attempting the right thing to get the lob over the opposition's backhand side, but Federer there able not only to generate some nice pace, but such an acute angle that even somebody as quick as Nadal had no chance to make the distance and get the ball back in play.
Exactly.
Federer leads 4 games to 2.
And it was very important for Nadal to win that service game, to force the onus back on Federer, if he's going to close out the set eventually on his serve. 4-2. A couple more service games that do it. Well, it's a totally different player, this, from the one who fumbled his way through the first set, full of errors. Now he's finding the mark. It'll actually be very interesting afterwards to hear what Federer has to say about his start today. Exactly the reason why he was so out of sorts. As Federer has improved, so the pressure has mounted on Nadal, who's making mistakes that he wasn't making earlier. That's the way it goes. Federer, 5-2.
One of the reasons Federer started the match so poorly was the fact that he was totally ineffective on his own service games. Got broken, remember, in the very first game of the match, also in the 7th game of that first set, and that really must have hurt the confidence. But the first serve percentage is improving now, and it's improving in its effectiveness as well, winning 73% of points when the first serve goes in. Still a little bit of a struggle on the second serve for him, but that particular statistic is at 50% in this particular set, so that's a big improvement as far as Federer is concerned. In terms of Nadal's performance on serve in this particular set, he's yet to win a point when he's down to his second serve. And although the first serve percentage is nice and healthy, he's still got to be a little bit wary about the fact that Federer is starting to get onto the second serve now, and it could be a problem for him.
Attending to his fingers.
Nadal is taking a better retreat. Timeout.
I think Steve Ulrich just announced that the injury to his hand is going to necessitate an injury timeout. And meanwhile, Federer is changing the left socks now.
Well, and he's taken tape off his left foot as well, so he had both feet taped on the soles of the feet. Obviously that's where he was getting some discomfort, and he's now decided not only to take one of them off but both, because he obviously feels he can move more freely around the court, and of course that's why I think we've seen such a rapid improvement in his game in this second set.
And here are the fingers that needed strapping here. Look, left hand of Nadal, his racket hand, of course.
2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
I know that he uses two hands on the backhand, but I mean his chief hand is his left hand, serving arm and forehand side. So it's a battle of the wounded today, but I was saying earlier how awful it is to see so many men affected by injury on the men's tour. And if you look at the injury list at the Australian Open, for instance, the great championship that is the first big one of the year, there were 13 players who couldn't play. They would have been direct acceptances, but they were all injured, and 5 more retired during their matches at the Australian Open. And since then we've had other injuries, principally this week the wrist of Roddick, and we've had a shoulder problem. We've had players feeling unwell and retiring in their matches. It's a tough physical sport.
No doubt about it. All the travelling that you have to do all over the world, doesn't matter if you're flying first class and you lead a relatively pampered lifestyle, it still takes its toll on the body, and you have to do it week in, week out.
So all the repairs have been done, and it's 2-5.
Love 15.
That's a terrific forehand from Federer to set up a relatively simple smash, which to win the point. And that's the shot that's really started working for him. Look at the footwork up the court there. Anticipation's so good, and the movement through the ball, allowing him to get into an excellent position at the net thereafter. Pretty pleased with the quality of the approach shot there. Got it within inches of the baseline, but critically Nadal, with some excellent footwork, was able to play a forehand rather than a backhand. And of course that particular shot is so much more effective as far as the Spaniard's concerned.
Snarl of dismay from Federer. Another miss hit.
Anticipation is something that is very, very difficult to teach, and Federer has it in abundance, particularly when he's in the forecourt there, just holding his position nicely, and then at the very last moment, reading the fact Nadal was going to try and pass him with the backhand cross-court, and just making his move and critically moving forwards, not sideways, in order to cut the ball off.
Is difficult at this time of day at the far end, no question.
Still embarrassing though, isn't it? No one likes to be doing air shots, especially on the biggest of stages. But perhaps he would have been better advised to let the ball bounce, because then he would have had a little bit more time to get himself into a good position and the sun wouldn't have been directly in his eyes. But a big let-off for Nadal nonetheless.
Still seeing bright lights in attempting to hit that return back.
Federer leads 5 games to 3.
And of course, it would have given him a set point if he'd made that smash, but it didn't. And now he has it all to do on his own serve, and the Spaniards in the crowd can take heart, I think. This set's still alive.
That was an important game, wasn't it? If Federer hadn't managed to break serve, he would have had the advantage of serving first at the beginning of the third.
Yes, he's not going to make the same mistake twice.
Making sure he kept his eye firmly on the ball.
30 love.
He was in almost exactly the same position. Nadal is not keeping quite as good length in this set as he was in the first, but of course, much of that is due to the fact that Federer is playing more aggressively and not making as many unforced errors here in the second.
Lovely 1-2. It's all the great backcourt players to manage.
Heavily spun forehand, getting the ball dipping down lower than the height of the net, forcing Federer to play defensively. And this time Nadal still going cross-court with the backhand, but putting a little bit more spin on the ball and creating a little bit more of an angle.
Well, he saw the charging Spaniard as he went to play that volley, and that's why he missed it. So almost like a Davis Cup time now. The Spaniard's making so much noise.
Thank you.
And it was a poor forehand from Federer. He was under pressure. He was pushed wide of the singles court. He went down the line, and if you are going to recover down the line, you are going to expose yourself when the opponent then hits the next shot into the space.
Remember, it had been 30 love to Federer. Now 30-40. And he's taken his chance. Delight on the face of his uncle. And he sprints to the chair as the supporters show their delight. 5-4.
It was a very strange game, wasn't it, John? Because just when we thought Federer was back to his very best, he showed signs of nerves and tension once more.
He did, and the thing I liked was this youngster took his chances. That lovely pass, clipping the line again. He's done that so often today. And then that last point, and here it is again. The return of serve, he saw the gap and went for it.
And of course, when you're a right-hander serving to a left-hander in that ad court, you're expecting them to come cross-court with the return the vast majority of the time, because of course that gets the ball to the Federer backhand. Federer perhaps moving a little bit to his left, trying or thinking that Nadal was going to attempt that shot, and of course it's the element of surprise that's so important, and it's doing it at the right time and being able to execute it well, and that's exactly what Nadal was able to do.
Well, I think this match living up to expectations now. Certainly the start that Federer made was inexplicably poor, but perhaps it was the blisters that were affecting him, the strapping that was too tight on his feet. They've been removed. He's playing and moving much better now. But this youngster takes his chances. He's quite unafraid of situations or opponents. A wonderful talent.
Thank you.
But he's still behind. He's still got the hold serve here.
Thank you.
Federer determined to break for the set. We'll see. 4-5.
Love 15.
Yes, that was not in the Nadal script. An error. Well, that was one of the best rallies of the match in terms of stroke production and depth and angle. And the error forced by the sudden change of pace on the last forehand from Federer. So the door is opening.
Yeah, seconds.
From Steve Ulrich, excuse me.
It would have been tough.
It would have been a good overall from Norman Christ, didn't it? But it was out. Look,
You see now? Say out. Unbelievable.
TMI agrees. Well, I think maybe unbelievable, Rafael, but if you look afterwards at our replay, I think you'll see you missed.
Well, I think the point he was making was he's felt that the umpire overruled after Federer had pointed at the mark and indicated that he thought the ball was out. And the players don't like that. They want the umpire to make an immediate overrule if they get involved at all.
Well, it was a very, very important moment, because now, as a result of that overrule, is double set point for Federer.
Such a basic error and such a big point. Federer under no real pressure there. Nadal perhaps maybe putting a little bit of extra pace on the shot, but it certainly should have been a relatively simple execution for the world number one.
Well, he's still facing a set point. Aggression and venom in his racket.
And the opposite end of the court, Federer there was a little tentative, didn't really do too much with any of his shots, and of course, as the longer the rally went on, the more out of position he got.
Forced error again. You'll have to hand it to young Nadal.
Advantage Nadal.
He put behind him the disappointment of that overall in the best possible fashion by just fighting back. Oh, wonderful tennis. What a lovely early ball. Shades of Andre Agassi there.
Well, I think the point you made, John, was crucial there. Didn't get frustrated by the overall earlier in the game. Responded in the best possible manner by playing aggressively, taking the game to Federer, and he thoroughly deserves to be back on level terms.
Rafa, as they call Nadal. Rafa just running to the chair to change rackets. Well, this match has boiled up wonderfully now. Seemed that Federer was going to cruise to the second set, but not a bit of it. 5-all.
Out. 15 love.
Each man now taking those half chances and making beautiful attacking plays. Second serve points won. Federer still far too low.
(30-15).
To be a tight service game in the end, quite easily won thanks to 2 errors there from young Nadal. So Federer ahead once more. 6-5, second set. Well, he's played darn well, hasn't he, so far?
Well, particularly in this second set, it would have been a bit of a shock to him to find himself 4-1 down, having broken in the opening game. So I think the way he's responded to adversity is absolutely fantastic. But it'll be disappointing for him if he's not able to make the most of that and get anything out of this set. It'll be interesting to see how he responds thereafter. But right now, we're at the business end of this second set, and the next 10 minutes, I think, are going to prove crucial in the outcome of the match.
Time.
Nadal kept preparing very thoroughly for this so important game. Having been 1-love with the break and trailing 1-4, now trailing 5-6 after breaking Federer when he served. So it's a beautiful game, despite what he thought was a bad call. In fact, it seemed to fire him up. Adjustment of the socks. Beautifully planned rally.
Love 15.
It's like watching a chess master at work. For a combination.
He only just made that last forehand, mistiming it ever so slightly, and that's because you have to take such a big swing at the ball and make such thin contact with it in order to generate that much spin. But of course, sometimes it's difficult to time the ball. Got away with it. Well, frankly, I think this set deserves a tiebreak, don't you? It's been so exciting. Both players have played well in patches. Just looking a little tender there.
40-50.
Federer taking a little hop and a skip after he missed that shot. Obviously still in a little bit of discomfort in the soles of his feet.
So the sudden change of tactics, the surprise value of it considerable.
6 games all, tiebreak.
And we are indeed into a tiebreak.
It'll be a big mountain to climb for Federer if he finds himself 2-0 down with sore feet. So this is absolutely vital as far as he's concerned. The incentive is there for Nadal. Both have got winning records in 2005.
Well,
1-0, Nadal.
That is not what Federer can afford, frankly. Errors at this stage. Not to be rushed. Well, this is back to the Federer at the start of the match,
Nadal.
looking all uncomfortable and tentative and worried. That's too good.
Quality of the return, not good enough as far as Federer is concerned. Dropping the ball short. Nadal well inside the baseline when he played his first ground stroke. Taking the ball on the rise, giving Federer very little time to get set, and intelligently going back behind the world number one. Always difficult to defend in that particular situation.
Nadal.
Looks big, doesn't it, a 3-1 lead, but it is only one mini break.
Nadal.
So Nadal will have one serve at the good end, and then we'll have to go down to where the sun is a real problem now. Absolute brilliance.
Well, some terrific defensive tennis from Nadal there when Federer was moving him around the court. It was the height over the net, it was the spin, it was the depth that the Spaniard was able to keep, which enabled him to stay in the rally. Then when he got his opportunity, he was just inside the baseline. He decided the time was right to strike, and didn't he do it superbly well?
Well, that to me was the most important rally of the match so far. Both fighting for supremacy. This man to preserve his mini-break lead, which he's done successfully, and Federer trying all he knew to break down the defences and failing.
27-stroke rally in the middle of the tie-break, and now it's important for both players to just get the heart rate back down to normal. But this next point is just as important, because so often when you win a long rally and you're a little bit out of breath and you're the server, it can prove difficult to execute well on the next particular point.
And he's looking right at the sun now.
It's the combination. The first one was so deep again, it was within inches of the baseline. It was so high over the net, it was hit with so much spin that it forced Federer to drop the ball short, and then again Nadal was able to go back behind Federer, who's obviously still in some discomfort, not only in terms of his feet, but with the fact that Nadal's able to generate so much spin on that forehand.
2-5. This is a very serious moment for Federer.
6-2, Nadal.
Since the start of the tie-break, this fella has shown extra venom in his shots, extra pace, and it's embarrassed Federer. Tony keeping his fingers crossed now, as Federer faces the first of 4 set points.
6-3, Nadal.
1 saved. Remember, Federer had 2 set points. It would be a terrific blow for Nadal if he can close one of these out.
Still some fight left in Federer, as you would expect. Nadal would have expected a weaker reply. Thought he'd done enough initially with the backhand, which was perhaps just a little bit short of a length, and that enabled Federer to make contact out in front of his body. So he was able to generate a nice angle on the forehand.
Still set point. Federer now really up against it. He's hurting, his feet are painful, and he's lost that set on the tiebreak. 7 points to 4. An hour and 37 minutes of drama.
Well, what a turnaround there. Nadal breaking serve in the first game of that set, setting the break up, looking good. Federer totally out of sorts, and then suddenly the world #1 sprang into action, winning the next 4 games. But it was Nadal that responded to adversity so well and played the more aggressive of the 2 competitors in the tiebreak. Well, in terms of posting numbers, Nadal's first serve percentage is healthy. It was effective enough. He kept his unforced error count down low enough, but he was able to generate the vast majority of his 13 winners towards the latter stage of that set, and that was absolutely crucial. Federer's serving a bit better now, but still struggling to win points when he's down to his second serve. The Spaniard doing very well indeed as far as that's concerned, and still too many unforced errors from Federer, although he is managing to hit a few more winners. But it's going to be an uphill battle now for the world #1.
Is it ever? This is how the set ended. Really on his toes here, whipping up the back of the ball with that heavy topspin, which has been so lethal today. That Western grip he uses, unbelievable topspin, and the ball kicking like a mule. Federer all too often dropping it short, and the concentration here quite wonderful to behold. And remember, he had saved 2 set points against him in that 10th game of the set when he was 50 and 40 down, and then making quite sure on his own delivery. A perfectly wonderful performance from the Spaniard.
It's going to be really interesting now to see how both players respond, because I still felt Federer was showing some discomfort in terms of his movement. Nadal intelligently was starting to play back behind the world #1 a lot, and it's very, very uncomfortable to have to stop, push off on the feet, and then move back in the direction of which he came if you do have sore soles of the feet, which obviously Federer has. And Nadal there again, not shirking his responsibility when it came to the crunch, and that's why he's such a good player already, but he definitely has such a bright future in the game.
No question about that. When we first saw him emerge in the south of France a couple of years ago, I remember Moya being asked an opinion on, because he had nursed him almost as a junior, coming both from Mallorca, and played a lot with him as a junior. He said, make no mistake, this kid has got what it takes, and he will be a great player. He now is a great player already.
No doubt about that. And obviously, it's all about the major events that you win. And if he was to bag a Masters Series shield today, then I think that would do his confidence the world of good. Of course, he's already confident, having won 2 tournaments already back-to-back this year. He's on a 15-match winning streak. But if he was to beat somebody like Federer on such a big stage in the final of a major event and break Federer's winning record, 17 finals, of course, he's gone now without losing, then I think that would just take his game to a whole new level.
What must the world #1 be thinking? Well, only he knows just how uncomfortable his feet are. A change of shirt will perhaps bring a change of luck. We'll see. An awful lot of work to do.
Time.
Fortunately, it's not humid today. It's a nice day for tennis.
Third set. Nadal to serve.
So I don't think the heat will be a factor, as it was last year when Nadal beat Federer.
Thank you. Ready for play.
So all ready for the start of the third set, with Nadal leading 6-2, 7-6.
Ready for play.
Federer not hitting the ball cleanly, and he's not keeping good enough length either. Nadal, in the last half an hour or so, has done so well when he's been able to move up the court and play aggressively, particularly off that forehand. Federer not reading it at all now, and Nadal enjoying superiority from the back of the court.
Quite interesting that Nadal said, of course, he really likes to play on clay, but he's trying to get better on hard courts. He's not doing a bad job, is he? Well, on this evidence, I think he's going to be quite well fancied for the French Open. Young Nadal, something we've been talking about at length in terms of a possible Grand Slam for Federer. Of course, he didn't win the Australian, but first of all, could he ever win the French?
Nadal.
And if he's going to find players like Nadal in his path on clay, on which this fellow has performed better, I think the doubts remain.
It was interesting because Federer was saying yesterday in the press conference the fact that he was winning a lot of longer rallies in this particular tournament has given him more confidence, and he feels therefore he'll be able to play better on the clay. But if you're being put under this much pressure on a hard court by somebody who hits the ball as ferociously as Nadal, of course the Spaniard generates so much spin. Sometimes it's difficult to pick that up on TV, but the ball is going over the net so high and it's kicking up off the hard court. On the clay that will be even worse. It'll be much more difficult for Federer to actually try and play all-court tennis, to have the option to come into the net. And so I think it's going to be very, very interesting.
It is, and that's the way Ball used to play on clay. This heavy topspin with a heavy racket. Wood in those days, of course. But the same problems.
Again, it's unusual for Federer to need a second bite at the cherry once he's at the net. Relatively simple first volley, didn't do enough with it, got it deep though, and Nadal could only offer up a relatively simple backhand. Federer with some nice shot selection and good technique on the last volley.
As it remains to be seen if he can keep this intensity up over the course of a 5-set match. It would all be over had it been best of 3.
volley is so underrated in my book. The ability to be able to put a little bit of extra slice on the volley in order to keep it short, force the opponent to move up the court. And of course, if they do make the distance, more often than not, all they can do is play a defensive shot. And once the ball's popped up, Federer obviously has a relatively simple shot with which to win the rally.
Game, Federer. 1 game on.
It's hard to judge what he's thinking. We know he's suffering some sort of pain on those feet, but he won't make that an excuse. If you're out on the court, you're fit enough.
Love 15.
Those openings because of the pressure which Nadal has put on him. That's what's happening. Some wag saying, "Come on, Agassi." Oh, well. There's one in every crowd. Come on, Rafa. Come on, Roger. That's the second one. He snarls at himself in dismay.
30-15.
Twice now, the forehands have let him down.
It's so unusual because he's able to generate so much spin on that shot, not beating his opponent for depth there, but for direction. He didn't need to hit that close to the line.
Dismay once again on Federer's face.
He anticipated well, he was in the right position, but first of all he mistimed the drive volley. That put him on the back foot really, having to then play a low volley, didn't do enough with it. He anticipated the fact that Nadal was going to go cross-court with his backhand, but Federer is just simply out of sorts.
From Federer, who can't believe what's happening to him here.
Nadal
The
leads 2
young
games to
Spaniard,
1.
certainly the better player at the moment. No question. 2-1 for Nadal.
Well, both players have different tactics in terms of what they're trying to do when returning serve. Federer, of course, always looks to take it nice and early. The yellow ones are the first serve returns, the black ones are the second serve returns, and he's been standing well inside the court to try and play aggressively. But he hasn't been timing the ball as well as he would have liked, and therefore the tactic has not worked as well for him today as it has done in the past. Nadal, on the other hand, gives himself a little bit more time. He takes the return a little bit deeper behind the baseline, and And you can see many of the second serves are even deeper than the first serves. On many occasions, he's running around and using the forehand, so he needs a little bit of extra time in order to get his feet in the right position to be able to execute that shot. But he hits it with a lot more spin than Federer, and a lot more aggressively in terms of the racket head speed. And that's the difficulty that the world #1 has had today. He hasn't been able to handle the spin that Nadal's been able to put on the return of serve.
Time.
A bag of rackets there of Nadal as he just adjusts his footwear and socks again. His attention to detail, very impressive. He munches bananas, takes the drinks with the additives that he's put in himself to be quite sure that there's no contamination. The players have to be very careful of that nowadays. And into plain water they will put their packets of additives that have been prepared by one of the major pharmaceutical companies for the tennis players. Federer just checking where the sun is in relation to the toss. 1-2.
Again, it's all about the length. Nadal, because he hits the ball higher over the net, is able to keep it a little deeper. Federer is struggling with his timing, dropping the ball well inside the service box, and therefore Nadal is able to dictate. And he's got the ability to change pace on the ball as well, over 90 miles an hour, that last forehand.
Flash onto that defensive volley and making quite sure with the pass. Here it is again. Absolute brilliance from the young Spaniard now.
It's 3 games to 1.
And he's got his man absolutely rattled once more.
Well, he can't do any more than he's doing at the moment. Not making many unforced errors from the back of the court, playing aggressively when need be. He hasn't taken his foot off the gas as yet, and is making all the important points when he needs it most.
And the way he's hitting his topspin today reminds me of the time when they had the double-strung rackets, which had the fizzing topspin that were banned, and with good reason, because they changed the nature of the sport. He's changing it with these rackets.
New balls.
Change of balls.
Of course, the one question that remains is, will Nadal, within sight of victory, get a little tight, a little nervous? Undoubtedly he will, but will it have any adverse effect on his game? good lob by Federer. Nadal just getting a little too close to the net, but showing some tremendous dexterity. Able to get the ball back in play, but wasn't able to do enough with it to stay in the rally for any length of time thereafter.
Wrong that time. You've got to go one way or the other.
30-15.
Federer, to me, they're just looking a little desperate. Coming into the net, they're not really in a good position. Having to guess relatively early in the rally, and he just hasn't had a read on the Nadal forehand today. He's never come to terms with it. He's never felt comfortable rallying from the back of the court. When he's come into the net, Nadal's passed well. He's hit the ball heavily. He's created some tremendous angles.
Serve's getting better. It does when you're winning. 65% are going in. He's winning about the same number, just under 70% of the time when they do go in, so very healthy.
And almost more importantly, he's winning 71% of points when he's down to his second serve. Federer totally ineffective on return.
40-30.
That's the area of the game that surprised me. Nadal might struggle when he's missed his first serve. I thought Federer would be looking to take advantage of that, but the world number one just hasn't been hitting the ball well enough to be able to do it on a regular enough basis. Federer just showing some signs of frustration with the crowd as well. Certainly not having a very good day at the office, and it's starting to take its toll. That was a good return, though, nice and deep, and he had a lot of options thereafter, and for once, it was him who was going back behind the opponent so effectively.
Well, could this be a repeat of the second set where Nadal was the first to break and Federer found a way back and then himself led by a break before losing it? Himself in disbelief. He thought that was a winner. Against most players it would have been, and the relatively simple shot to finish it, he misses. And look at his reaction. I don't think he knows how to beat this young man. He's tried everything. It didn't help that he got off to such an awful start, making all those errors, but I think it was partly a mental problem. He did say that he knew that the topspin of Nadal would be a problem. And so it is proved. Nadal consolidates, saving a break point on the way. He's 4-1.
Nadal leads 4-1.
Well, that was a very important game because, as you mentioned, John, he was a break of serve up in that second set and then let Federer right back into the match by losing serve in the very next game. And it's so important to make the most of any situations when you've got a break of serve against a good player, particularly when you find yourself 2 sets up, because Federer now sat at the change bench must think, well, I'm pretty much out of the match. And Nadal now, surely it's all about concentration and focus, trying to stay in the present, not allowing the mind to start thinking, what if I'm only 2 games away, it'll be my most famous victory of my career, I'm beating the world #1 on the biggest of stages, etc., etc. He's got to concentrate on each point and play the ball on its merits and continue to stick with the game plan that's got him into such an excellent position.
Well, he knew the absolutely vital import of that last game, and he is equally knowledgeable about the failure to take that break point. And that's what they're playing for. Beautiful Waterford crystal vases that are so heavy that the players soon pass them on to somebody else to hold. And I wonder if he will be lifting his first. He would be, if he wins, the youngest ever champion here in the tournament's 21-year-old history, just 18 years and 10 months old, as he stands here with Federer serving 1-4.
Federer, I think, is just at a loss with his inability to make the simplest of shots today. He initially did well to get back in the rally, but so did Nadal. Didn't panic, didn't try to do too much with the half-volley pickup. But he did show Federer a little bit of light, but he was unable to execute the last backhand.
Well, people rudely shouting out just as he's about to serve, really. They'll have more sense. Brilliance.
Those shots have been few and far between today. Nadal once more forcing Federer to move from side to side throughout the rally, but just didn't do enough with the approach shot. Could have been a little closer to the single sideline. That's a much firmer, cleaner, crisper volley from Federer. A nice movement, got in very close to the net and gave Nadal very little chance to stay in the rally.
Certainly a greater urgency about Federer in that last game.
Nadal leads 4 games to 2.
Well, he's still got a break. And it will not be easy.
But he will know that Nadal is definitely going to get a little tighter and therefore I'm sure he's going to get a half chance at least at some stage. It's whether or not he's able to make the most of it.
Absolutely. And for this fella, who before this week had never been even in a quarter-final at one of these Masters Series events, this is the chance of a lifetime, literally. There's nothing so dangerous as a wounded tiger, and I think that is the sort of feeling that Federer must feel.
Nadal gets an A for effort. Again, though, it was a very intelligent volley by Federer to go back behind the Spaniard, but just unable to control the ball despite that full-length dive.
What a lovely athletic fall and roll. He knows certainly how to execute those difficult maneuvers. Remember Boris Becker used to dive all over the court? The wounded tiger here really snarling his way back. And this youngster taking his time, as he should. This is no moment to rush yourself out of it. 15-30. Well, the tightening in the racket arm of Nadal you were speaking of, Jason, is happening. Federer has got his break back. Having just failed in the previous service game on the break point, this time making no mistake.
Nadal leads 4 games to 3.
He's still alive. It's 4-3 though to Nadal.
Well, that was a big game, and we thought that he might get a half chance. It turned into a fully blown chance, and he did take advantage of it. Nadal definitely tightening up a little bit for my money in that last game, and of course it becomes increasingly difficult to generate all that spin and pace on the ball if you're not as loose as you possibly can. And Federer has enough experience to draw upon to know that the opposition is going to get a little tight, and he was able to make the most of it. But of course he came back so strongly in the second set and didn't make the most of that situation, so he's still got a little bit of work to do.
He has got a huge amount of work to do, and most of it's mental. He's chased the ball wide in that last game very well, and not made mistakes when he's been wide, which has been the problem. But he's got a huge amount to do. Well, the centre court at Cranbourne Park absolutely agog with excitement, because a match that seemed absolutely hopelessly lost, Federer, seemingly out of it, has broken back and given himself a second chance. Should have won the second set. And he'd broken after losing the his opening serve, breaking twice to lead 4-1, and now he's 3-4 in the third set.
Versus Love 15.
He hates this topspin that Nadal's throwing at him. So difficult to control the ball.
Love 30.
Well, far from getting the cheap points on serve that he hoped to achieve today, complaining that that has been one of the problems this week. Committing a third double fault. Perfect length shot from Federer, which he thinks was long.
15.
An appeal to Steve Ulrich will not be forthcoming. It won't produce anything. Although TMI thinks that Nadal was right. Well, Federer very lucky then, in view of that
30 all.
error on the call just now, or the fact that there was no call. Very lucky to be 30 all.
It was good, wasn't it? Both players did exceptionally well. Court. And again, Federer has correctly anticipated that fact.
Brilliant.
He's only played a couple of drop shots today, but they've been effective. On occasion, he was very, very late opening the racket face. Therefore, Federer had no inkling, really, that he was going to attempt that shot. Just a subtle change of the grip there in order to open the racket face. And he executed that shot to perfection.
Federer.
Well, he's been so unlucky, really. He had Federer, remember, love 30, and the bad call would have made it love 40. And only because of that is Federer still alive in this game. And he takes full advantage of a piece of luck which may be decisive, we'll see. It could be a very, very important moment in the match, that. Instead of being broken, he holds for 4. Listen to this. It is a wonderful atmosphere here.
Thank you.
Remember when early in the match there was a bad call against him, he reacted brilliantly.
15 love.
Certainly did, and he's been very tough mentally today from the very first game of the match. 7 backhand winners now for the Spaniard, just 3 for Federer. It's the first time really he's looked a little cumbersome in terms of his movement in the forecourt. Didn't quite get the serve as wide as he would have wanted it, so Federer had less steps to take before he made contact with the attempted pass.
These shrieks of despair from Federer, indicating the frustration he feels today.
Intelligent shot from Federer. He faked the little drop shot. He wanted Nadal to start moving up the court before he went back behind him with the little slice forehand. And Nadal is in desperate need of a couple of really effective first serves.
Key moment this, 4-all 30. And he's blown it.
40.
Not over though. But it does offer Federer a slender hope of another break. What can you say? Brilliant.
To have the courage to not play the percentages on that particular point when you're down to your second serve, which is really your weakest shot in the whole of your game. Absolutely fantastic.
His 3rd ace of the match. And rather ironic that facing a break point he should find the ace that Federer so often has done in his brilliant career. To the floor. Federer has totally become frustrated beyond belief. It's 5-4 to Nadal.
Well, it's incredible, really. Federer had his chance. That's why he's frustrated. He had the break point, and the momentum was firmly on his side, and Nadal responded terrifically with the ace on the second serve. And this is the last point of the game. Federer dominating, returning serve well off the forehand side, and he'll feel he did enough there. But didn't Nadal do well to stay in the point? That was an intelligent shot, but similarly from the Spaniard to throw up a lob into the sun, and it was enough to draw the error, and Federer really just couldn't handle the situation anymore. He's become too frustrated with his inability to make the simplest of shots. He's missed so many shots today, the smash included, when normally you would expect him to make the vast majority of the balls, and it's all become a bit much for him.
be seeing the end here of a brilliant run. The crowd here rising to young Nadal, who has played quite magnificently to lead 5-4, saving a break point in that last service game, sprinting to his place, eager to get on with it as Federer faces the most
ready for play.
important service game of his season thus far, with 17 finals in a row to his name. This might end that run.
It was a good combination. The backhand cross-court for Nadal has worked so well today. He's hit it viciously with spin. Look at that. Federer did very well to get the ball back in play. And Nadal sensibly going straight at the world #1 there.
Altogether today.
And that's a good response. Very effective first serve. Accurate. Enough to draw the weak reply.
And just when he most needed it, an ace. And Mirka keeping hope alive. His 6th ace of the match. But there seems to be a curse on #1 seeds at this tournament. Not since 1994, when Sampras won, has a top seed taken this title. Not to say Federer won't win, but he's still got an awful long way to go. 5-all. He's outplayed him, no question.
And it must be difficult to take because Nadal
15 low.
has played quite superbly in all areas of his game. Here, just at the very last moment, opening the racket face again. He's done that a couple of times on the forehand, but doing it just as well on the backhand.
All the snappers are here recording this historic moment. And it does begin to look as if that run is going to end at 21. He's had wonderful streaks has Federer. Last year 23, and spanning last year and this 26. And that
40-15.
round of 26 ended by Marat Safin in the semi-final of the Australian Open.
And if Nadal were to be successful, his would be 16 and counting.
Steady as a rock, no sign of tension or nerves. His uncle Tony
Nadal
leaps to
leads
his
6
feet
games to 5.
as Rafael moves ahead, 6-5.
Well, of course, only 4 points away from victory now, and what a famous one it would be. It must be impossible not to get the hair on the back of his neck standing up with this kind of support in this kind of situation. It's all about trying to control the nerves, keep the heart rate down, stay in the presence, and it's much easier said than done.
It's an enormous thing to control, that surge of adrenaline. You can't stop it. But he has played the better tennis today. There's no question about the correct reflection of the match, the scoreline. No question at all. And if he does complete his victory, and he's still got to do it, it's got to be done, but if he does, we've seen the emergence of a truly great talent. Well, an aerial view of a cauldron here that is seething with emotion. You can hear the fans for both men venting their feelings. Nadal can hardly wait for the start of this next game. Federer said he's going to attack this like mad. And a Mexican wave going around the arena here. Such is the emotion of the moment.
Or is it a Spanish one?
Thank you.
I think you're right. It deserves to be.
Ready for play. Thank you.
And Steve Ulrich finding it difficult to calm the emotions of this crowd.
Thank you.
Called thank you several times, but to no avail. Now the applause. Federer, 5-6.
It's not an easy situation. You have to wait for the crowd to
15 love.
quieten down before you come out to serve to stay in the match, but it's a good first point as far as Federer is concerned.
Once again, the top spin of Nadal, so difficult for Federer to control. incisive forehand.
40,
He kept good length earlier in the rally. That was the key. So it was Nadal on this occasion that dropped the ball short, and Federer was the one that was able to move up the court and take advantage of it. So often in the match, it's been the other way around.
Fifth double fault. But that tells you the sort of pressure he is still under. Has been from the first game. Now then, another tiebreak will decide set number 3.
6 games all, tiebreak.
Will it settle his fate? We shall see. Perfectly placed first serve, not going for too much, using the spin again.
Nadal.
Nadal now must take deep breaths, take plenty of time, not rush into these points.
It was the Spaniard that was able to fashion the first mini break, remember, in that second set, and that proved decisive.
And this time handed it to him on a plate with a double fault. Forehand there from Federer. He risked all and made it 2-all.
I think that's what he's decided to do. Every time Nadal misses his first serve, Federer's trying to run around the second and use the forehand, take some chances, and he was able to generate almost 100 miles an hour on that forehand.
So close there. Absolute winner had it been in.
And again, it was the right tactic. Got to take the risk, and it was very, very close. Nadal was a little lucky. Didn't make his first serve on both of those points.
Nadal totally mishits it off the forehand to give Federer a little moment of breathing space. He needed that.
Well, you can see just how viciously Nadal takes the racket from low to high when he's trying to generate the spin on the ball, and of course it becomes It's more difficult to put a clean hit on it when that's the case. Definitely nervous, definitely tight. Of course, it's natural. All he's going to try and do is handle those nerves to the best of his ability and make sure that he tries to play to his strengths. He tries to remain confident and aggressive, because that's what's got him into this situation. He cannot afford to let Federer start to dictate play at the most vital stage in the match.
Well, that is a very, very costly miss. And if he had been able to order a shot to be able to hit at this stage of the match, it would be a mid-court forehand just like that. He missed it. Well, it's on his racket now. 4-3 with a mini break. Typical of so many Federer forehands today. Missing the line by quite a margin. It has been his downfall, the unforced errors, totaling now an unbelievable 53.
Just got behind in the rally. Federer able to put his foot to the floor and not let up. And that's been something he hasn't been able to do through much of the match. Nadal did well to stay in the rally, but could never get in front. So Federer right back in.
Still trailing. 4-5. That's good.
It's very good. Excellent serve, and
5-all.
playing the percentages by using his forehand inside out to the left-hander's forehand and then going back behind Nadal, something that he's been able to do to good effect in patches throughout the match.
Well, there is still a slender hope.
6-5. Federer.
At last, a good first serve when it really mattered. Paving the way for an easy kill and 6-5 set point for Federer. What a magnificent finish to a set full of drama, and we now have a real match on our hands. It's 2-1 to Nadal after an hour and 37 minutes.
Well, for me, the real difference there between the two players was that Federer was prepared to take risks. He was prepared to play aggressively, even though he was under extreme pressure, staring defeat in the face. Nadal, on the other hand, I felt, didn't quite do what he did in the second set, where he was the aggressor in the vast majority of the rallies. And Federer, of course, is rewarded for that courageous display.
Well, we have a totally new ball game now, as these figures will tell us.
Well, the Federer serve is starting to improve in terms of its effectiveness, and that will be worrying for Nadal. Federer winning 3/4 of the points when the first serve goes in, and getting a little bit better on the second as well. And he's now started to cut down on the unforced errors, just 19 in total. He was able to fashion 18 winners. Nadal made just probably too many unforced errors towards the end of the match, and at the end of the set rather. And so for Federer, things are looking decidedly brighter.
Well, this is how the set ended. Remember the tension there had been in this set, with Nadal leading 4-1 at one stage, Federer coming back with a break in the 7th game, taking it to the tie-break, and then when it really mattered, finding the steel in his mind to force himself to attack, which he knows he has to do, and he makes himself go for the ball and tries to stay as relaxed as he can, and to his immense relief, at last an error from Nadal, and he's in the match at last. What drama.
Well, it's going to be interesting now. We talked about the fact that it was important for Federer to respond well, and I think he did in that tiebreak. He played very aggressively, even though he made a couple of errors early on by running around trying to use the forehand when returning Nadal's second serve. He stuck with that game plan, and it paid off for him in the end. Nadal didn't serve well enough, didn't get enough first serves in play. He was too content to rally from the back of the court for my money, and it allowed Federer to dominate. And if you play second fiddle to Federer, then you're in real trouble.
4th set, Federer to serve.
Well, the whole match has shifted in dimension now. It is a real match. It's no longer a Nadal benefit, which it was seriously looking like when he was 4-1 up in that 3rd set.
Well, I think now, even though Federer finds himself 2-1 down, if I was a betting man, I still find it hard to bet against him.
He's a proud man. This record of 17 successive tournament final wins is something he cherishes. 4th set.
Federer now a little bit more confident. And why not? Winning a lot of points at the net. 33 of 54, but many of those points he lost came in the first set when he was struggling to do anything well.
Boost the morale. Second serve, ace. And the 7th total ace of the match. Just what he needed. An easy start after a really tense finish to the previous set. Just what you want.
I think he'll be comfortable now with his game plan, because there were periods in the match, particularly at the beginning, where I don't think he really knew what he needed to do in order to get the better of his opponent today. Whereas towards the end of that 3rd set, he was starting to run around that second serve, use the forehand inside out. He was starting to step up the court, be much more aggressive. And of course, whenever he gets a slightly short ball, he's been looking to come into the net. So I think he's probably settled on his intended game plan for the remainder of the match. And now it's all about execution.
Love one.
15 love.
He said something interesting the other day about how badly he was playing and yet winning. Hoping, I think, that he would be able to find some form today, and I thought he would. I was quite wrong when saying that I thought he'd come out of the blocks like a greyhound, but at least he's found his way into the match. Just too good.
That's an excellent shot making for Nadal, but I think you're absolutely right about Federer. I was talking to Tim Henman about this particular run that Federer's got going in the final of tournaments, and of course Henman losing to Federer in the quarterfinals here, and he said that's what he thinks has improved most over the last couple of years, the ability to win when not playing his best tennis.
Again, Nadal.
Well, 2 easy service games, which is what both men would be seeking. You just don't know who is the fitter. I think they're both superbly fit. We know that this man is hurting with blisters.
Love 15.
We know that Nadal has got splits on his fingers which have needed plaster, tape. One of the things I've been so impressed about has been the counter hitting of Nadal and his defense.
Yeah, we talk about how much spin he hits on the ball and how aggressively he can play, but when he's been under pressure, he's been able to get the ball back within inches of the baseline time and time again.
Which is one of the things that has frustrated Federer, because he's hit apparent winners or really good forcing shots and they've come back with interest.
And he would be normally looking to then play aggressively for the remainder of the rally, and suddenly he's been forced back behind the baseline, which is a situation that he hates. Federer, for me, is one of the few players that doesn't like to give up any territory on the baseline. He likes to take the ball early, and he likes to take it on the rise. But against Nadal, he hasn't been able to do that today because the Spaniards hit so much spin, particularly off that forehand. And I think that's one of the reasons Federer struggles a little bit on the clay as well.
It's true also, Agassi, he won't give up territory, will he? And he'd rather lose and play his way, go for his shots. Yes, it was good, according to TMI. But that's the sort of shot we were talking about. A good attacking play from Federer, counter hit by Nadal with even greater interest. So far, so good for the world #1. Building piece by piece a recovery here. 2-1 Federer. Well, the fans have had plenty to cheer today, Jason, haven't they, really? Good crowd.
Well, it's one of the biggest occasions in the tennis calendar, I think. All the players look forward to coming here to Miami to play, and the fans are tremendously knowledgeable, and they come to have fun as well, which I think is important, and they always really respond to particularly the South American players and the Spanish players get tremendous support here. And on occasion at the beginning of the match, Federer was getting a little frustrated with it. The odd cat call coming at the inappropriate time. But I think it's been a day that they've all enjoyed, and they've got exactly what they wanted. They wanted to see Federer pushed to the limit. He's been pushed to the limit by an up-and-coming player that's tremendously exciting and wears his heart on his sleeve. And we've got a real match in our hands, so what more could you want?
Well, the fans are having a terrific time today in perfect weather conditions. Not too humid, lovely and warm, mid-70s. And no breaks yet in this key fourth set. 1-2.
Love 15.
Fairly tired looking backhand, that one. For the first time, he's chased wide to the ball.
Take this flag away. Thank you.
Just asking a member of the public to put flag away. We talked about energy levels and what will happen when you begin to get tired and start to make a few errors, because he's worked very hard as Nadal, physically.
And I think you've got to start thinking about the fact that he might get a little jaded towards the end of the match. One of the first things to suffer is the serve. In the first two sets, he was averaging his second serve speed at 89 miles an hour. In that third set, dropping to 84. So he's got to keep an eye on that. He's got to stay aggressive.
30 all.
Absolute agonies he's suffering with those simple errors for no apparent reason. Federer at his best.
A masterly forehand. He hasn't been able to do that very often today because he's found playing against the topspin pretty difficult. But to be able to change pace there so effectively on such a big point is crucial.
Now, this is the first break point in the set. And he's got it. Well, we did notice imperceptibly a slight weakening in the game.
Leads 3 games to 1.
The first point of that last game when a rather tired ball fell into the net. A tired-looking shot. He certainly worked awfully hard as Nadal today. Federer 3-1.
And of course, the longer the match goes on, the difference between the two players is that Federer can shorten the rallies when need be and throw in the occasional serve and volley, whereas Nadal still has to continue to work hard from the back of the court.
Well, can you believe it? That lob of Nadal's landing absolutely on the corner, the intersection of the baseline and the sideline.
And Federer did well to get it back in play. And Nadal made rather a hash of the intended smash there. A little fortunate, perhaps, that the ball still went in. And Federer just a little too deep with the intended lob. An apology from Nadal for mistiming the smash.
You're not too sorry, though.
Net.
Always makes me laugh.
Yes. Sorry, but I'll take it. What a monumental point. Two impossible shots played by Nadal. And almost occurred, but not quite.
And those are the rallies that hurt. You have to work so hard, not only on the first forehand, but the backhand. And then he was there for the forehand here. Federer had done well. But again, just looking a little jaded towards the end of the rally, and understandably so.
Oh. 30 all.
Again with emotion and frustration. 7 double faults now. Well, the Swiss flag proudly flying still. It looked as if it was going to be hauled from the masthead in the last set. Nadal's time to shriek with anguish as he knows he hit that ball too high. Made the volley easy.
Well, it's almost impossible for Nadal to continue to hit that attempted backhand pass as well as he did in the first couple of sets. Federer's starting to read it now. He's getting in tight on the net, and it's making the resulting volley a little easier.
Net.
Federer holding his nerve and his serve.
Federer leads 4 games to 1.
A 4-1 lead in this crucial fourth set.
Well, how quickly things can change. Federer, remember, finding himself 2 sets down, 4-1 down in that third set. And suddenly now all the pressure back on the underdog, the younger of the 2 competitors. And Federer, I think, will fancy his chances now. Of course, there's still an awful lot of work to do. Anything can happen in the 5th and deciding set. But physically, I think Nadal is starting to struggle a little bit. He's worked exceptionally hard throughout the match, particularly at the beginning, where he was making a lot of passing shots under pressure. And of course, he doesn't have the ability to take one hand off that backhand like Federer does, so he has to work a little harder with the feet to get into a good position to be able to execute the double-handed backhand. And it must be draining emotionally to be playing in such an important match in these kind of conditions. Well, that's the scene here on the Keys, just off the mainland of Miami. Site of the 2nd Masters Series event of the year, Camden Park. It's in its 21st year, and we've been given a final to remember. He weren't with us at the beginning of the match. Federer got off to an awful start. Lost his opening service game, never really recovered. Nadal taking a 2-set-to-love lead and leading 4-1 in that third set. But Federer's hit back with some aggressive tennis, and now holds the upper hand in this 4th set. Nadal serving 1-4.
$15 love.
No holding back there. Made up his mind very early that he was going to play an aggressive smash, even though Federer had done well to get the ball almost to the baseline. Good footwork by Nadal, getting underneath the ball, unable to fully reach up to hit the ball at its highest point.
Oh. 30-15.
Reserves have been called upon, and he's much sparkier again now.
And it was a good rally because he wants to try and finish the point off as early as possible to save a little bit of that energy if he's close to the 5th and deciding set. So taking a leaf out of Federer's book there and ghosting in and winning the point with that lovely short angle volley.
And he'll make a terrific effort here to break. 4-2. Well, it's inexplicable, this it really is. Perhaps that whole long campaign is at last beginning to catch up with him. It's been a ragged performance, really, from Federer throughout this tournament. Fault called long, which Federer hadn't heard. Rather a soft call from the linesperson. Steve already confirming that it had been called, and it was long. However long Nadal could go on making these chases like that, I just don't know. But you don't get tired when you're 18, do you?
I can't remember that far back. Unusual.
30-50.
Looking for a quick end to the point again. Are there signs of him physically diminishing?
I think there are signs. That it was apparent in that game when he was broken. And again there, probably. Just not time. And there's Butch Buchholz, whose brainchild this whole championship has been. Himself a former US #1 and former junior champion. Buchholz, the winner of all 4 of the Grand Slams in the same year. He did the junior Grand Slam, the first man to do it. And it's 5-2 now for Federer. Taking much needed fluid to replace what he's run out of himself for this chasing around the court that has been such a testing experience for him today, because they don't play too many matches over 5 sets these days, and it is a grueling experience, particularly the way he plays. Well, has Federer turned the
Time.
corner? 5-3. Remember, he was 5-2 in the second set and 5-3 serving. This time he would be 5-4 serving if he doesn't break here. For the set he might.
Thank you.
Because it seems to me Nadal's just getting a little bit tired too far.
15 left. Love.
Well, instead of trying to all he can to break for the set, it seems he's content to let Nadal have an easy service game and serve it himself.
Game Nadal.
Fourth ace for the Spaniard.
Federer leads 5 games to 3.
And Federer back where he was in the second set. Five-3. It is so hard to believe. 2 series games running, he opens with a double fault. 9 in total. A horrific moment.
That's what Federer did so well in that third set tiebreak, was step up the court, take the ball on the rise, be aggressive, even though he found himself in a tough situation at love 15, having just served that double fault. And his courage was rewarded once more.
Net person.
Just good.
30-15.
Just 2 points away now. So by sheer force of will and personality, Federer has hauled himself to double set point. It's 2 sets all.
Federer, 6 games to 3.
So the world #1 keeping his hopes alive, leveling after an hour and 37 minutes. Well, what can you say? Willpower, determination, pride.
All very important aspects of the Federer personality. It's enabled him to get back into the match. He's posting some pretty good numbers now on serve. The first serve percentage much healthier than it was, particularly at the beginning of the match, and it's a lot more effective. 89% of points won when the first serve goes in, and Nadal not having as much success when Federer is down to his second serve. It's all about playing the big points well. Just that single break point for Federer in that set, that was crucial. He took it. Nadal wasn't able to generate one. And look at Nadal, he's serving well, but it's not as effective as it was. Only winning 33% of points when he's down to his second serve. That's certainly something that he's going to have to keep an eye on as we head into this fifth and final set.
And time to look back on some of Federer's winners from that full set. Really has been a brutal battle. Having to cope with all this vicious topspin has taken its toll on Federer, all the double faults are evidence of that. And I just don't know how much energy the two of them have. They don't play very often over the best of 5 sets. The last one he will have played would have been against Marat Safin
Final
at
set.
the Australian Open, where he had his match point and lost.
No, it's not something that you can really prepare for, because of course it's only the Grand Slams and the occasional final in some of the Masters Series events. They play 3 out of 5 sets, and then of course even if you do play 3 out of 5, you don't necessarily go 5 sets.
Plus Davis Cup, of course, which he didn't play singles in this year, and Federer has chosen not to play Davis Cup this year. So with new balls, it'll be Nadal to start the deciding set.
Well, this is absolutely vital stage of the match for both players, but particularly Nadal. He has to get off to a good start at the beginning of this set. We know what a good front runner Federer is. The momentum's firmly in his favor at the moment, and Nadal has to try and do something to redress the balance.
I just hope for his sake that Nadal doesn't dwell on the fact that in that third set he was 5-3 ahead in the tiebreak. Just 2 points away from the match.
And that's not forgetting the 4-1 lead that he had early in the set, so he'll be well aware of that. There's no doubt about it, and he will feel that the momentum has swung in favor of the top seed. And sometimes it's very, very difficult not to get caught up in all that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it goes without saying that in a fifth set, every game was crucial, every point. strikes the first blow in the final set. Well, although he looked tired and jaded to me towards the end of that fourth set, there was a spring in his step there, and it's a different mental approach now, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. When you're down in a particular set, but you're leading, so in that fourth set, as far as Nadal was concerned, I think he will have got a little tired, a little frustrated perhaps with his inability to close the match out in the third set. But suddenly, when you start the fifth and deciding set, you know it's one set, it's a one-set match, anything can happen, and you do get a surge of energy, irrespective of your physical condition prior to that. And Nadal will feel an awful lot better now than he did a good 20 minutes or so ago.
Because this five-set final hasn't always been the case here. There was a period when they played the best of three. The five-set format was restored a few years ago. And in fact, the only match that's ever gone the full distance was the very first of these tournaments, played at Delray Beach in 1985. Rafael Federer keeping a tight hold on his service game, now 40 love. And it was Buchholz's idea to stage this players tournament, and it was held at Delray Beach, the first one. Tim Mayock beat Scott Davis in 5 sets.
Interesting results as well, because the player that won the first 2 sets ended up losing the match on that occasion.
Very true. 4-6, 4-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4 for Mayotte. So perhaps history will repeat itself here. Who knows? Not if this fella hits many more shots like that.
It's a lovely combination, the return of serve, getting down low. It's a shot that he played so well in the first set, and then not holding back on that particular backhand. No chance for Federer there.
Still, that first serve is missing the line. Well, that's because the return of serve was so deep again, kicking up board-like from a length. Paid the penalty for not really punishing the volley.
Advantage Federer.
Good serve at the body. Reaping its reward. And 1-all in this final set. And it's all about willpower, belief, ambition, all the things that drive you on when you're tired. It depends who wants it the most. 2 streaks at stake, the 15 of Nadal, the 21 of Federer.
Time violation, warning Mr. Nadal.
Well, that was inevitable. Just putting the overgrip back on his handle as it come loose, but he had to do that. And inevitably, would get a warning.
Oh.
That's what Federer needs to do. Play as aggressively as possible when Nadal does drop the ball short, and he can do it particularly well off the forehand. Good footwork to give himself enough room to execute that particular shot.
Now what's Nadal up to? Changing his racket. Okay. Took off the little vibration dampener from the old one and put it on this one. Love 15.
Love 30.
Nadal does appear a little indecisive in the forecourt. Doesn't quite have the same technique that Federer does. Not able to execute the volley anywhere near as regularly as his opponent.
15, 30.
That was such a vital error. Love 30, mid-court forehand. Real let-off for the Spaniard.
Net. 30 all.
Rallies are beginning to take their toll now. The accuracy not quite as good as it once was, and the errors just creeping in where once there were none. Prepare for that, did he?
Well, sometimes his failure to move back and give up territory at that particular stage in the rally can prove costly, because it's difficult to time the ball. There's good length from Nadal.
Please.
Rally. What a pity it had to end in an error.
Both players digging exceptionally deep, and delight in the Spanish camp. Thoroughly enjoying this encounter. It's a real battle of wills now. Physically, the both must be absolutely exhausted, and Federer just coming up short on the attended approach shot. Unbelievable hustle from Nadal at this stage in the match.
The whole match is teetering here. Another break point in this game. Yes, he's found the answer. Curling the ball in with side spin and topspin to take the first break in this final set.
2-1.
It's Federer 2-1.
Is that going to be the decisive blow? It must be so difficult now for Nadal selling that change of ends. Federer, of course, absolutely delighted because he's had to work hard. He's been in the lead in the match since they started, and he's had to work very, very hard mentally and physically. Physically, of course, because Nadal's made him run all over the court with those ferocious ground strokes, but mentally because he was able to keep it together when he was playing so poorly in those first two sets. Gradually found himself a way back into the match in the third, despite being 4-1 down, and now he's starting to hit the forehand a little better. He's starting to earn cheaper points. He must be hurting though physically. Doesn't play that many 5-set matches. But finally finds himself in an excellent position in this deciding set. And we know what a good front runner he is.
He's going to need plenty of that fluid intake. For the very first time, it's Federer who leads in this match. And that is after an hour and 37 minutes of play. Hardly credible. Sorry, rather more than that. 3 hours and 30 minutes. I was looking at the wrong hour. 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Thank you. Ready for play. Thank you.
But the luck still with Nadal.
15.
Federer still dealing with that topspin, hitting the ball above head height on many an occasion, but couldn't do anything about that, despite being the most talented individual on the planet in this particular sport.
That easy flowing action which has produced so few really good winning serves, and at last gets an 8th ace.
Good anticipation from Nadal, but again Federer
30-50
forging ahead in the forecourt, and he's been allowed to get to the net because Nadal's not quite putting as much on the ground strokes now as he did in the first 4 sets. The average ground stroke speed for him was 74 miles an hour. In this 5th and deciding set, it's 67.
Well, the gambler's throw that. Perhaps he is tiring. It's the sort of thing a tired man will try. Doesn't want the torture of another long rally.
Game Federer.
Well, that's more like the champion we know.
Federer leads 3 games to 1.
Forging ahead. And in front at last. 3-1.
Well, for me, this game now is absolutely critical. Were Federer to get the insurance of a double break, the match would be all but over. If Nadal were to hold serve, he's still got a chance in the match. but he must be suffering physically, and now Federer surely must be looking to take advantage of that.
Love 15.
15 on. That will give Nadal a little bit of heart.
Federer seems to be in control
15-30
of the rallies again. As he begins to tire, and Federer now with 2 points that would surely virtually clinch the match.
Game Federer.
Well, his landed on the line, Nadal's just missed, and there is the break of serve that could very well be decisive. Federer 4-1 and motoring well.
Well, that was a huge game, and now surely Federer must be thinking about victory, possibly for the first time in this afternoon's encounter, because he struggled with his demons early on. He wasn't timing the ball well. He was being run ragged from the back of the court. All the simplest shots were causing him problems. Very rare to see him make so many unforced errors, uncharacteristically. And he wasn't even serving well, wasn't even able to earn any cheap points with that particular shot. But your heart goes out to Nadal. He's played a tremendous match. He's given it his all, as always. He just came up short in that third set when he just took his foot off the gas, and you only have to give the best player in the world the slightest of chances, and more often than not, he makes the most of it.
Well, Federer, it seems to me, has weathered the storm, and he's come out into the sunlight the other side. Still got the job to complete, but I doubt now whether he's going to be upset. And he's won before, hasn't he, when he's been behind 2-6?
Well, he's only done it on a couple of occasions. The first was in the US Open in the first round in the year 2000 against Peter Wessels of the Netherlands, and then he did it again in the French Open in 2001 against Sarkisian. 2 sets to love down on that occasion, and winning 9-7 in the fifth and deciding set.
Love 15. 15 all.
Well, there's a certain injection on the shoulders now of young Nadal as he strides across, hanging his head.
He
was fortunate with a lot of those early. That was a little close. Perhaps at 40-15, not so serious. From Nadal. The errors mounting all the time.
Federer leads 5 games to 1.
Federer now within reach of what would be a terrific victory in the circumstances of the day. He started so badly, unbelievably badly. And perhaps might have lost in the tiebreak of that third set when Nadal led. Nadal's 5-3 in points lead in the tiebreak of that third set was the decisive moment. He's run his legs off. Here's young Nadal.
There's nothing he can do anymore. Federer simply coming into the net, and whereas earlier in the match Nadal would have hit a ferocious double-handed backhand cross-court there, just offering the simplest of shots to the world number one.
Love 40.
Well, a look of surprise on Nadal's face, but it was long. 3 championship points for Federer. That's it.
Set match. Federer. 2-6, 6-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-1.
Well, they fall into each other's arms at the end of a quite magnificent scrap. So nearly won by Nadal. when he led by 5 points to 3 and in the tiebreak of the third set and by 2 sets to love. But the champion's pride pulled him through. The streak continues, 22 now, and 18 consecutive winning finals for Federer. A quite remarkable achievement, and more than anybody in modern times. The world #1 has proved once again that even when he's playing badly, he'll find a way.
And your heart goes out to Nadal. I'm sure we're going to see an awful lot more of him in the future, both on his beloved clay courts and here on the hard courts, because he played some terrific tennis today. The ferocity of the ground strokes, Federer found very, very difficult to handle for a couple of sets. I don't think the world #1 knew how to play him at the beginning of the match, and it was just a shame, really, that he ran out of steam at the end of the match. And it's understandable, because he gives his all to every single shot, and he can leave this tournament with his head held high.
He certainly can do that. It was a brutal battle in which he was the better player for most of the first 3 sets. And the sheer relief on the face of Federer says it all. He did find a way, but it was a mighty difficult way that he had to discover. Pride, ambition, all those things that drive on the great men drove him on when he most needed it. 2-6, 6-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-1. 3 hours and 43 minutes of agony and ecstasy in the end. But it so nearly ended in tears.
I think it was great for the tournament to have such an exciting final, and obviously elation in the Swiss camp. She's seen it all before, of course. He's won so many matches, but very rarely from 2 sets to love down. It's only the 3rd time in his career he's been able to do that. And the other 2 matches have been at Grand Slam level. So to actually win a title, and you find yourself 2 sets to love down and 4-1 down, remember, in that 3rd set. So he was asked to dig as deep as he possibly could today, but as all great champions do, he found a way to win when faced with adversity.
And he's now put together back-to-back Masters Series wins in both last year and this year, and that's fairly rare. Only the 6th man here to do it. And he's done it in style today. It was Hamburg and Toronto last year.
We direct your attention to Stadium Court for our championship award ceremony. Please welcome tournament ambassador and tennis great, Miami's own Mary Jo Fernandez.
Very popular figure here.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, was that an exciting final or what? How about another round of applause for our 2 great players, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. At this time, I'd like to call forward the gentleman who founded this event 20 years ago in 1985. He had a tremendous vision, Mr. Butch Buchholz, tournament chairperson. Butch?
Thank you, Mary Jo. Rafael, Roger, I just want to tell you guys that you play a different game than I played. So many people contribute to this great event, and the person that makes the biggest contribution is the president and CEO of the NASDAQ stock market, Mr. Bob Greifeld. Bob?
This is our 4th year as a sponsor of this tournament, and we are truly proud of this sponsorship. And what a great match, and what a great tournament.
I'd like to call up our finalists from Spain, Rafael Nadal, just 18 years of age. Please step forward. Adam Barrett, the tournament director, will you assist Mr. Greifeld in presenting the trophy to Rafael?
On behalf of the NASDAQ stock market, we'd like to present you this trophy. Congratulations.
And it won't be the last. Along with that, a check for $266,675.
Rafael, you came so close. How much did it help that you beat Roger on this court last year to play so well today against him?
Te hablo en español mejor, ¿no?
Okay, en español va a contestar. He's going to say a few words in Spanish. I'll translate.
Bueno, la verdad que ha sido un partido igualado. Yo creo que Roger en el primer set no ha empezado como siempre lo hace, ¿no? Ha empezado un poco nervioso a lo mejor. Yo me he aprovechado de esto y bueno, me he puesto 2 sets arriba, 4-1, y al final pues no ha podido ser, ¿no?
He said that he thought Roger was a little nervous in the beginning. He took full advantage of that. 4-1 in the third, couple points from the match, and he wasn't able to close it out. Nada más que tienes 18 años. You're only 18 years old. I think you're going to be challenging Roger in the future. How much confidence playing this well and hard is going to give you on the clay now? Ahora vas a jugar en la tierra. ¿Cuánta confianza?
Sí, bueno, aquí vengo jugando muy bien, ¿no? Había ganado 2 torneos en Brasil y Acapulco, y ahora pues he hecho la final aquí y vengo con mucha confianza para encarar la gira de tierra, que es la más importante para mí, ¿no?
He's extremely excited because he won 2 tournaments on clay, and he's really looking forward now to the clay court season where he's going to be one of the favorites at the French Open. Any words, algunas palabras to your fans? You had a lot of support.
Bueno, primero de todo, me gustaría agradecer al público todo. Gracias a ellos también toda la semana he estado muy arropado por ellos y también he estado en esta final gracias a ellos. También agradecer a los sponsors, referees, fisios, mi team que está por allí. Y bueno, gracias a todos y espero que no sea la última final que juegue aquí.
All the sponsors, his team, his coach and uncle, the ball boys, referees, and he hopes to be back in the final next year. All right, time for our winner, world number 1, Roger Federer. Please come up.
And what a champion. Along with the trophy, $533,350.
Roger, you'd come into this match winning 17 straight finals. You had your hands full with Rafael today, 2 points away from defeat. How did you turn it around?
Yeah, this was extremely close today, and consider myself lucky, to get through, because he started fantastic, and it was really hard to actually get the rhythm against him, because he plays so great. So I've got all but praises for him. He's a great guy and a great player. So congratulations to him.
Looking ahead in this year, do you now put Rafael in that category of the few players that can challenge you for the big tournaments?
Oh, I don't want to talk about the future about this guy, but
you got a pretty good one, I think.
Well, and the clay court season's coming up, so that's great. I'm looking forward, to play Rafael more times. We've only played twice, and he's going to be a great player, but also, we have other great players on tour, and really enjoying the tour so far, and that I come through and win another great finals where I haven't won in the past. So this is fantastic day right now for me. So thanks very much to be able to share this with you.
Your first NASDAQ 100, your 5th tournament of the year. Like to say some words to the crowd?
Yes, of course, I would like to thank many people. There's many people involved in such a great event. It's one of the most beautiful stadiums around the world, and I've always enjoyed. Yes, it is. And just like to thank as well, the people who are behind the tournament. They make a great job. They really make me feel great here. The sponsors, without them, it's not possible, Most important, of course, my team behind me, who's been spending a month here in the States with me, and a very successful month, so I thank them. And last but not least, of course, the fans, because without you, this is not the same, so thank you.
Bob, will you present the beautiful Waterford Crystal Trophy to our champion?
On behalf of the NASDAQ stock market and 3,300 companies that list on our market, we'd like to present you this trophy. Congratulations, a wonderful tournament.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2005 NASDAQ 100 Open champion, Roger Federer.
Well, it's a heavy bowl, that lovely Waterford crystal, that will adorn his mantelpiece at home. And what a player he has proved to be. And I think all of us secretly pleased that he turned it around, Jason.
Well, it's just a joy to watch. Even when he's not playing particularly well, he still holds himself very well indeed. He's a tremendous ambassador for the sport. And when he is playing well, there's no better player to watch. And it's a great role model for the youngsters as well. He's such a nice guy. Don't know anybody that doesn't think the highest of him, both on and off the court. And I think we're going to see this picture we see on our screens now an awful lot more in the future if both can remain injury-free. And Federer's run continues, and who knows where it will end.
And he's won the first 2 of our Masters Series events for 2005, and who is to say that he won't win more? It's impossible to bet against him wherever he plays, on whatever surface. Of course, he's human. He's going to have moments that he will be tired and injured, and moments when opponents find inspiration, as young Nadal did today at the start, when he wasn't, Federer, at his best himself. So he probably is going to lose. To expect him to win all Masters Series, all 9, is really unrealistic, but he'll give it a shot.
He's a very proud individual, and he doesn't mind setting himself goals, and I think that's tremendous. It's very easy to say, oh, I just take it a match at a time, but he actually looks to the year ahead and says that this is what I want to do. I want to defend my Wimbledon crown. I want to finish the year ranked #1 in the world. Those are the 2 most important goals that I want to achieve. I also want to win as many Masters Series events as possible. But his real challenge lies just around the corner. We've got the clay court Masters Series events coming up, and if he's as successful in those as he has been in Indian Wells and Miami, then that would be very special indeed.
Well, it certainly would. And many special moments I think we're going to see associated with Roger Federer in the year 2005. And he says that his Wimbledon title is the one he most wants to defend.
With your win today at the NASDAQ 100, you join an elite League of Champions to win the ATP Masters Shield, created by the artisans at Waterford Crystal. The Shield is another reward for conquering all in your path these past 2 weeks. To present you with the ATP Masters Shield, Chris Klauser, the chairman of ATP Properties.
Roger, you're right. He is a great guy and great player. But today, this is your 6th Master Series Shield. On behalf of all the players, all the Master Series tournaments, here it is, number 6.
Be careful.
So there it is, the 6th Masters Series Shield. 2 of them this year. And I think there are going to be many more, which we'll see on his name board as he sits at the chair at changeovers in future events. A lovely tradition, that is. Well, there it is. Our business is complete here in Miami. We hope you've enjoyed these first 2 Masters Series with us here in America. The tour moves on now to the clay of Europe. And on the 11th, that's Monday week, tomorrow week, in Monte Carlo, we hope we can count on your company as the first of our 3 clay court events starts. We hope you have enjoyed all that we brought you this week. For Jason Goodall, for the entire TPL production team, it's time now to wish you goodbye from Miami.